Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, cinco, seis.
The aim of a research program, my dear Hogan, is not to find out new information. We already know that the German pilots are superior. Here we are merely furnishing scientific proof.
The purpose of cheating is not necessarily to win. We already know that we are going to win. Here, we are merely hastening the inevitable. Across time, across history, the words may change, the phrases may change, the language may change, but the ideas, those don't change. I'm Orion Archive, and this is Chaos Theory. We're starting off, at least for this particular rant, rampage, whatever you want to call it, focusing in on what's going on at Twitter, or more specifically, what's going on outside of Twitter. For some people, the permanent banning of particular Twitter users was met with a great cry of rejoicing. Finally, insert person who's not funny here is gone, never to bother my timeline again. Insert blue check mark here for $8 a month. Does this mean that I am no longer going to be forced advertising? Does this mean that my post, what I say, are not shared with advertisers? Can I be ad free on Twitter simply by paying $8 a month? That sounds like really good news, potentially. Elon Musk hasn't actually confirmed yet if the blue check mark also means an opt out from the advertising systems. So a lot of it's a couple just so many different things at once. People leaving, people coming back to Twitter. New The talk of an ad-free subscription to support Twitter has been something that longtime Twitter users have been asking for literal years, and going all the way back to the Galaxy S2 when Twitter was still primarily an SMS based transmit platform. You still had a significant number of people who were not so sure about this advertising thing you're talking about, guys. Can I do Twitter without the ads? Uh, and where I really wanted to go with this was not necessarily focusing on the exit of various personalities or the lack of personalities from Twitter, but rather how people are in general responding to this. And this is a question I think that's actually been posed by Dr. Steve Turley, is that why is it that humor about the left is almost always funny, but jokes aimed at the political center or we have to go all the way back to the start here and wrap our heads around the axis of what policy, of the ideas that form policy. In this case specifically, we're looking at the axis of responsibility. Those and the definitions are as follows: socialism is the ideology where those who control the means of production are not responsible for the means of production, and capitalism is the ideology where those who are who do control the means of production are responsible for the means of production. Now, once you understand that particular the framework of how ideas relate to the political spectrum, we can then map the political spectrum to the ideologies. Well, the next question is, where exactly do we get left wing and right wing from? Well, we really get it from a amphitheater style political, uh, I guess you would say, auditorium, where if you look at the Congress and the Senate, the Democrats normally sit on the left hand side of the amphitheater, and the Republicans normally sit on the right hand side. And this is really where we get the whole left ring, right ring from, is where politicians sit when they are in the body politic, when they are actually in the assembly. So simply because somebody says that they are a right wing, they may be sitting on the right hand side of the auditorium. They may not necessarily have right wing ideals. And this comes back to when we map this out by ideology, we come to the conclusion that the Democrats are socialist and anarchy, the anarchists, are the actual right wing. And that is defined by the definition here of socialism, where you have total control. You make the policy, you make the regulations, but you are not responsible for the policy. You are not responsible for the regulations. If something happens that's a negative, if something blows up, if something goes boom, if people die because of your policies, you are not responsible. If people spend more at the gas pump because of your policies, you are not responsible. If people can't buy food because of your policies, you are not responsible. That is the essence of socialism. Those in power are not responsible for the decisions that they have made. Conversely, if you go and look at the right wing, the political right wing spectrum, as defined by those who control the means of production, are responsible for the means of production, you're looking at the absence of government overall. Everyone takes responsibility for their own actions. Well, if everyone is taking responsibility for their own actions and there is no government, what is that? The lack of government is anarchy. So, right wing politics are anarchist, or right wing politicians are anarchists. So, where does that leave Republicans? They're not right wing. They may sit on the right hand side of the auditorium, but no Republican that I know of is calling for the absolute utter abolishment of the entire framework or system of government. Thus, conclusion, Republicans are the center. The Republicans are the balance. Republicans not right wing, the Republicans are not left wing. The Republicans are in the middle, trying to find solutions that work. This is a key distinction when we start looking at specifically humor. The thing is, when you make a joke about a left wing socialist, say like Bill Maher, or whatever his name is, I don't care, did with his rant against the wokest, and when he has the shirt that bleep the patriarchy, and then the check for the car insurance paid for by the patriarchy. Why does humor like that, why is that funny, but why are jokes about the center of the Republicans not funny? And my theory is this: jokes about left wing, the jokes about the political left wing, center on jokes about the idea because the ideas are laughable. An open border that you have no concept of who's coming or going in and out of your country, yeah, that's pretty silly. Where you fuss about the government having too much control, but then you rely on the government to pay your bills, that's really kind of silly. That's really kind of funny if you step back and look at it. But left wing humor doesn't target the ideas of the center. Left wing humor does not target the ideas that Republicans have. The idea of to secure the border. Let's see. We have no idea who's coming or going through our country. We have no idea what items they could be carrying or not carrying. Having better border security, that sounds like a really good idea. Okay, well, how do we get better border security? And suddenly we're talking about policy. We're not talking about the idea because the idea is sound. The policy is the balance. How do we make peace with everyone involved? How do we satisfy those who want ease of transfer and free trade and fair trade? And how do we not want to onerously impact people who are leaving and entering our country on legitimate purposes? How do we make things easier? How do we not punish people who have legitimate business? And again, we've gone off the rails of talking about the idea, and now we're actually talking about policy. We're having back and forth about, well, what is this going to take to satisfy everyone who has a vested interest? So, if you can't attack the idea, if you can't attack the idea of border security, if you can't attack the idea of maybe the government shouldn't have free reign over what drugs are injected into school children at any time. If you can't attack the idea because the idea itself is sound and logical, you have to attack the person. And if you are attacking the person, let's say let's say Donald J. Trump, for example. Let's say you are a left-wing comedian and you can't find anything funny to say about the ideas that Donald J. Trump has because the ideas are all solid, very logical, well thought out, very constructed, and discussion about those ideas leads to an actual back and forth over, well, what's the balance? How do we make this work? How do we, and again, we've gone off of talking about the idea and into talking about policy. Well, simple. You don't attack the idea because you cannot attack the idea. Instead, you attack the person. And if you are attacking the person, if you are holding the severed head of a political candidate in your hand like you just beheaded them, you are attacking the person. What you are doing is not funny because it cannot be funny. You are not making fun of the ideas. You're not making fun of the policy because the policy is sound. There's no joke there to be had. All you can do is attack the person. And when you make your joke an attack, when you're actually attacking the identity of the person themselves, when you are promoting violence, when you are suggesting violence, when you are suggesting horrible things be done to another person, when you are suggesting that these horrible things be inflicted upon another person, you're no longer making a joke. You're just not being funny. And that, I believe, is the difference between humor on the right and the left. And this is why memes from the right are funny, because they mock the idea that the other party has. They don't mock the person because the person doesn't matter. It's the idea that's important. And if your idea is silly, then making fun of your idea is funny. But if you don't have anything to make fun of, if all you have is the person themselves, the person who's stating the idea, that's the only thing you can attack because you don't have any ground on the idea itself, then you're not funny. There is not an element of humor. You're being mean, you're being spiteful, you're being ugly. And that, I believe, is the difference in why jokes about left are funny, because the ideas are silly. And focusing on the ideas and pointing out how silly the ideas are and how unworkable the ideas are is hilarious. But it doesn't work the other way because it can't work the other way. And really, that's all. There's more that I kind of want to go into specifically on Twitter uh, moving forward. Uh, just looking over the things that are being said about how Twitter is going to be ramped up as Elon Musk has this some kind of grand plan in place for what he an all-in-one app or something. And I'm not going to be too uh, I guess there's sometimes you just come to something where you just say it. Yeah, another company kind of already tried that and failed. Google had this little thing called Google Plus, which tried to be the everything social app, and it just didn't work. Now, that being said, um, this is one of the things I've said in the past. I am no fan of Elon Musk selling Teslas, and I'll focus on Teslas for a second. I consider Teslas to be the most dangerous car on the road. I've called it a ticking time bomb. You buy a Tesla, I don't want to be anywhere near you or wherever you're going. It's the example given in the past typically was the Yugo, which was the least reliable car that money could buy. And then there was the three-cylinder Hyundai Accident, also a legendary, terrible quality vehicle. Sorry, as I just admire the rendering. I really, I really love the art design of this game. Anyways, uh, you have these benchmarks set for just really terrible cars, and then you have the Tesla or Telza or however you pronounce it. Again, I really don't care. Uh, where you just have the least reliable car that money can buy, the most dangerous car that money can buy, a car that many people bought on the uh, assurance that it would have a certain specific feature, aka full self-driving, that the cars will never have because they can't have that feature. They're going to need a hugely expensive, I mean, hideously expensive, completely new hardware addition and sensor upgrades in order to simply meet the functions of what those vehicles were sold as, being theoretically being capable. The task they were sold on, that consumers bought the Tesla cars on the presumption that yes, this will do full self-driving. No, it doesn't do full self-driving. And no, that version that you bought will not do full self-driving, but Elon Musk sold them anyways. So Elon Musk, because of that you could have somebody who could just sell people a time bomb, a unreliable hunk of junk. And we've all seen the pictures of various Teslas that had very poor fitting body panels. Hmm. Sometimes I'm really kind of glad that the enemies in this game don't actually attack and they're not actually enemies, because that's not something you want to walk up a ladder and find. Anyways, uh, trying to get back to the point here. Easily distracted. Anyways, going back to the Teslas, it's that Elon Musk could do that, and then so many of the legal antics that Elon Musk has pulled off over the years, silencing critics and causing no end of problems. I think the SS Scalpings, Brian Maloney, Killing My Career, they've done an excellent job of tracking some of the really rotten things that Elon Musk has done over the years. And I consider Elon Musk to be a confidence artist, someone who plays a very long con game. And if you understand the art of the long confidence scam, in most cases, if you're attempting to pull a confidence scam, there's an ultimate goal. There is something you want to achieve, and you'll take a hit on the short term in order to make your long term goal. Well, we really don't know what the long term goals of Elon Musk are. We've heard some people say that Elon Musk is a transhumanist, that uh, he believes that humanity should evolve to something greater. Now, if does he mean by genetic or chemical mutations? Are we talking? I mean, just what are we talking about here in regards to transhumanism? Uh, what's the ultimate goal here? Because this is being vague on this is just doesn't help anything, really. So yeah, just bringing it back. I'm not a fan of Elon Musk. I really abhor the way that the Tesla cars have been sold and pitched to an effectively unsuspecting public. But actions speak louder than words do. Yes, there's a lot of Teslas on the market, or in the free market. There's a lot of Teslas out there, and for the most part, most of the people who bought the Teslas probably lean to the political left. They probably bought into the green energy scams. They probably bought in to the anti-energy rhetoric. They probably bought into the climate change lies. Okay, and real quick on that front. If your argument for climate change relies on publishing only the most extreme cases that your computer simulation was capable of running, and you didn't actually report the median, average, or mean scenarios, you're just lying. And you should have your academic research credentials yanked and any papers that you have published pulled. And that's what has happened with the climate alarmism, is that the world will die in however many years. All of these projections are based on worst case scenarios that are in no way realistic and require multiple different things to go wrong at once, such as, say, setting off multiple nuclear bombs inside of a volcano. Now, if you're setting off 5 or 6 nuclear bombs inside an active volcano, yes, you're going to create a worldwide apocalypse. No duh. Telling people that just because you drive a petrol powered car, you'll detonate 6 nuclear bombs inside of a volcano and create a nuclear apocalypse, you're just lying. You're just lying. It's that simple. Anyways, so most of the purchasers of Tesla vehicles have basically been leftists who bought into the electrical car fad, who bought into the lies, who bought into the scares, who didn't bother or weren't even capable of performing basic research. Well, if someone's not capable of performing basic research, do you pity them, or do you mock them, or do you feel sad for them? Do you head tilt at the inability to ask questions? I mean, how do you handle that? I mean, what do you do? And okay, so bringing it back, so Elon Musk, he took money mostly from the political left, and that puts an interesting spin on things. Because if you're taking money primarily from the political left, and then you use the money that the political left gave you to purchase the platform that the political left is using for censorship, and then you use that platform to circumvent the censorship and open up actual conversations, do the ends justify the means? How you got there, how you got from taking less than intelligent people's money and get to the point where you can use their money to take away their methods of control. It's on one hand, that's really sketchy, really, really unnerving, really. It's a slippery slope of situational ethics where, yes, you achieved something good, but because the methods you used to achieve that something good may not have necessarily been ethical in and of themselves, have you really made an ethical or moral decision, or are you simply going to make things worse? And as we're probably legitimately at, we don't know yet. We don't have enough information to state whether or not the methods here that have been successful were the correct methods to use, because those methods have achieved some measure of success. Wow. Redundant statements much? Uh, so anyways, I'm now focusing on trying to find these, I need one more silver piece. There's a missing diary. Alright, no more diary scanned. Alright. Anyway, so bringing it back to, trying to get back to the topic of Twitter overall, is easily just, please don't crash. Okay, well, I guess the game says it's time to crash out. You can't see this, but there's a fatal error. Alright, so I'll wrap this up on the pause screen. So, where Twitter is going, potentially ad-free, potentially wrapping into other services. I know another thing that was announced today is that you'll be able to add long form text to a Twitter post, so no more having to screenshot long form text to have long form text capabilities. Now, for a writer, that's a big upgrade. That's one of the things I really miss from Google Plus is that Google Plus really was a publishing platform where you could publish various works. And since its demise, there really hasn't been a clear answer from any social media platform over how to become a publishing platform or a self-publishing platform. And yes, I am ignoring the various blogs out there because if you most of those blogs kind of rely on a hook into a social media network. So if you're using a social media network as a publishing platform, it's really just simpler, really overall, to have a social media network that supports direct publishing. Now, whether or not that means we get rich text editing and uh, Twitter follows more in the mold of Google Plus and becoming a more substantive platform on which to make effective communications. This has been one of my issues in the past with a number of game developers where they insist on having conversations, and there we go, full crash out, where they insist on having a conversation entirely on Twitter. And Twitter is just absolutely the wrong platform to have any kind of conversation upon. And the reason I say that is because it's very difficult in the flood of posts back and forth where someone can reply to a post or retweet a specific post and miss the entire context of that post. You don't have all of your threads all together at once for easy reading. And yes, there are utilities like uh, Thread Unroll that'll roll back and show you all the tweets on a specific thread, but we're still talking about a third party plugin instead of doing it just in the application itself. I mean, if you this has been one of my big complaints. If you need a third party tool to make something work or to make something function, then the tool itself is broken. Or the app you're using is broken. If you need a mod, you need something extra to make it work, then it's broken. Doesn't matter how good it is, if you need a mod to make it work, it's broken. And Twitter has been fundamentally broken as a social media platform since it left its SMS heritage. Now, is Elon Musk the person to fix this? And again, we come back to how does Elon Musk hire people? How does Elon Musk run people? And we know that Elon Musk brought in a number of programmers and coders from Tesla, from Starlink, from SpaceX, from his other platforms. And Elon Musk, for everything, all the negative things I can say about him, he does know how to hire people who are very intelligent and very good at their jobs. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing so many layoffs occur so rapidly with Twitter is that a vast number of the employee hires made by Jack Dorsey and then by the person Jack Dorsey set in charge of Twitter were not made on technical merit, they were made on political merit. A number of the employees in Twitter aren't there because they're good at their job. They're there because they were good at politics and they voted Democrat. It's really just that simple. When you have a workforce, when you have a labor force that's made up entirely of political appointees, you shouldn't be surprised when your platform can't turn a profit on a regular basis, if at all. And you shouldn't be surprised when your original owner decides that he needs to bail out before something bad actually happens. So, anyways, that's really what I've got since the game crashed out and I don't have anything set up to go. We'll just cut it here and I'll catch you later.